Welcome back to Queen's Mindset. If this is your first time joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are super excited to have you back with us yet again for season 6. Oh my goodness, I cannot even believe I'm saying that because these seasons are going by so quickly. But tonight, here with me, I have yet again another powerful lady in the house who's going to share her amazing story with you. And I know that you can't wait to hear it. But before we go any further, if you have not done it already, I want you to go right ahead and just hit that subscribe button just down below and make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so that you can be kept abreast. All right, so let's head right into it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my lovely guest tonight, Pastor Janice Williams. We're super happy to have you with us. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Queen. I'm doing great. I know you are.
Oh, yes.
We're doing great.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. I am so excited and thrilled and honored to be with you on Queen's Mindset.
That's right. We're so happy to have you. We can't wait to hear your story tonight. So dive right in because I know they're sitting at the edge of their seats and they can't wait to hear your story. But before we tell them a little bit about your story, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Oh, yeah, just a little bit. I'm Janice. Pastor Janice, Pastor J, Lady J, it don't even matter. It's all the same. But I am out of North Carolina, United States, North Carolina. I have been married to my husband, Pastor Michael, for this year would be 21 years in a couple of months. And we have been together April Fool's Day, 23 years. And so we are excited, hallelujah, for what God is doing. A little bit about what I do. I am the founder of No More Brokenness Women's Fellowship. I'm also the co-founder, along with my husband, of Make It Last Marriage Fellowship. We are authors as well. We have a book called Bulletproof, Withstanding Heavy Ammunition. And I also have a book that I did with some ladies. It's called Down for the Count, Bouncing Back, Down for the Count, Volume 5. It's an anthology. So I'm just grateful. A little bit about what we do. We travel and we do conferences, we do workshops. We come in and we come to you. We lead people to Jesus. We mentor couples. We work with couples. We counsel couples. We are multifaceted. We go and people call us to come in. So we are so excited about what God is doing. We're just trying to lead people to Jesus any way possible. But we work with couples, we work with singles. My husband worked with men. But I definitely, women is my heartbeat. That's what God has given me to empower women. They need for you to share. They need for you not to be ashamed of what you've been through so they can get over. Because you never know who's been through what. So I thank God for you on tonight, lady. Okay.
Wow, that is a lot. I know you say, I'm just going to share a little. I'm like, a little? Wow.
Just a little bit. And we get ready to be on some other networks, but just a little bit.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. That's really amazing. So my question that I always ask every woman that comes here and tells me about the little bit that they do, where do you find the time?
Girl, I'll tell you what I did. So I was that career woman. I was that 8 to 5. When I worked my husband, I worked 2 jobs. So I was a workaholic girl. Single, no kids. That's all I did because the women on my mama's side of the family, they love to work. That's what we did. So I always tell people that God allowed me to meet my husband in our sinful state. We were sinners now. Won't even say we were still in the club breaking it down. But he allowed us to meet for my husband to carry the load. Even when he was my boyfriend, he did that. So he rescued me from working myself to death. So what I do now is I retired 2 years ago to do full-time ministry with my husband. So we do some stuff, but it's our own thing. So I had always been in ministry for a very long time, since 2002, just running. But I've learned that sometimes you have to let some things go in order to do God's will. And he will bless you. And a lot of times you don't understand. You don't understand. God, why? Why in the world? I've been doing this for a long time. Now you telling me to let it go so I can do something else. But one thing I realize about God is he's a God of multiplication. He's a God of expansion. And he wants you to expand. And what I say by that, your mind got to expand before you can expand. It got to be in your mind first. So I had to prioritize some things. I had to let that full-time job go. I had to do something part-time where I can work my own hours. I can be my own boss, those kind of things. So that's what I had to do.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow. We're just getting started, ladies. We are just getting started. So tell us about that story, that one story, that one adversity, because I'm sure you have so many that you can share, but that one adversity that really changed your life.
Ooh, honey. My. Where do I start? That night that my cousins came over to our house, my husband and I, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. And I was the weekend club. Saturday and Sunday was my club time. And so that's what we did. And so this particular night, I didn't want to go though. My cousins had came over. They had said, hey, you want to go to the club? And for some reason, I didn't want to go. So my husband, which was boyfriend at the time, he said, honey, you can go ahead. He said, I'm going to stay here. I don't want to go. But I didn't go. And they said, that guy got you on lockdown, don't he? And I said, no, I just don't want to go. But make a long story short, about 2 or 3, they went ahead. About 2 or 3 o'clock that morning, they come to our house, sweaty. I mean, you can tell something had happened. I mean, clothes look like they're ripped. That same club got shot up. That club had one door to go in and no back door. So the 2 girls that live in the back of the apartment complex that we lived in, one of them got killed. And I tell you that to say, it was a missionary that came around in the apartment complexes that my husband and I stayed. She would always ask us to go to church. I'm telling you my turnaround point. Listeners, viewers, I'm telling you my turnaround point. So it scared me. And so that next week, I told her, I went to her house, walked over there, and I said, I'm going to church with you next Sunday. I said, I got to work every other Sunday, but I'm going to church with you. So my boyfriend, which is my husband now, said, you can go ahead. I ain't going. I ain't ready. But I would go because we was engaged. And to make a long story short, I went 2 times every other Sunday, twice. I would get prayer for my husband and I, boyfriend at the time. That 3rd time he went with me. And what happened? He gave his life to Jesus. I gave my life to Jesus, rededicated my life to the Lord because I had got saved some years ago. And we've been running for Jesus ever since. We got saved on the same day and baptized on the same day.
Wow.
But I said that to say, you cannot wait for other people. Mm-hmm. When God is speaking to you, what God has for you is for you. And when he's speaking to you, you listen, whether people come with you or they don't. So that was my turnaround point. Was it easy? No. Did I make mistakes? Yes. My husband and I was engaged. We didn't get married till May 9th of 2003. So what does that tell you? We got saved in September of 2002. We still shacking. What we gonna do about sex now? Now we know we don't supposed to be sleeping together. Did we fall short? Yes, we did. We said, God, you're gonna have to come in from one another because now we're saved. Okay? We know we don't supposed to be living together. But that was my turnaround point. And we talk a little bit about that in our book. But God, with his good self, helped us. Because that's all we knew. Boyfriend and girlfriends. People that been together for 20, 30 years and they won't say. That's what we knew. Wow. That was our role model. Wow. But that was my turnaround point.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's just amazing, and there's no timing like God's timing. It's just amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. So now you got this major turnaround, but let's go back a bit before we got there, because I find that sometimes when persons are hearing our stories, many times they're looking just at the glory aspect of things, and they forget that, hey, there's a deeper part to this that makes me who I am today because of what
Yeah.
they would have walked through. So let's talk about some of the things that you had to encounter before you got to that point. Tell us about that.
Well, I was in foster care.
Wow.
I was in foster care from 15 to 18. And I talk a little bit about that in the anthology that I did. Um, it was hard. I had suicide. I tried to commit suicide 2 times. But God with his good self. And I realized that all the hell that I had been through before foster care, being molested, nobody believe in you. The very person that you trust and you tell them what is going on with you, they don't believe you. But God, with his good self, even in my young age, he will expose things. That's how God is. Nobody can do anything without God seeing. So all of that rejection, all of that abandonment, I went to foster care because of neglect, abandonment, and abuse. And I mean mental abuse, emotional abuse, and physical abuse. I would go to school with, I would put on makeup to cover the scars. But God with his good self. See, people just see now, as Kamisha said, they see the glamour, woman of God. They see the glamour. They see all of this, but they don't know what has happened behind the eyelashes, what has happened behind the nails, what has happened. So I'm here to tell you on tonight that in the midst of being bruised, in the midst of being broken, and in the midst of being battered, God is faithful, and you can overcome. Just because you got some scars, and overcome. Scars is a good thing. It's a good thing sometimes because it shows that we are victorious. And what gave us a scar did not win. He didn't win, she didn't win, they didn't win, but we got the victory. So all of that brought me to God. All of that I was going through in the mind.
Wow.
The mind is where the enemy wants. He wants to destroy our mind because if he can get our mind, he told me, don't nobody care about you. When I went to foster care, he said, none of your family stepped up. They didn't want you to stay with them. But God had to heal my mind. And I realized that some people didn't know that I was going to foster care because it happened quick. They took me out of class. That's a whole nother story. But it happened fast. So there were some people that didn't know where I was going, didn't know I was gone even. And then some people didn't have a place to stay of their own. But God had to heal my mind. And so I wasn't supposed to have any contact with family at all when I went to foster care. And that bitterness that was there, God had to heal me. And when I tell you I was broken, I was broken. He had to heal me. Lord have mercy. And that's why he gave me No More Brokenness Women's Fellowship. He said, because you have been broke down. You didn't have any siblings. You grew up an only child. So you didn't have nobody to console in, so to speak. You had to reach out of your household to complete strangers. But I thank God for that experience because now I can go anywhere and talk to anybody. Because that's how, that was his plan. And so his plan is perfect.
That's right.
So I'm here with my sister on tonight. We, Lord have mercy, in the midst of all those struggles and them storms, We have overcome, and that's why we're encouraging you tonight that you can overcome that bruise, that batteredness, and that brokenness.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Wow. So you said quite a lot there. So let's begin to unpack that, because you said, when you went to foster care, can you tell us what was the reason that you had to go to foster care? Where were your parents? Why did you have to go?
We moved around a lot. I think in 8th grade, I went to maybe 5 or 6 middle schools. We moved around a lot. We were not stable. We stayed with a lot of people. And when you're going through that as a child, the teachers, they notice. Okay, they notice. When I was putting on the makeup and different things to cover up scars, they noticed. I was in class one day. I was in English class, and you know how they have the little assistants that work in the office back then.
Yeah, yeah.
They have that little person that work in the office. Well, I had been reaching out to someone that I thought was trustworthy. And this when I talk about my mind. But I was mad because this person betrayed my trust. And so they went and they told the things that I was telling them. And this was an adult, told the authorities. And so I'm in English class, and the little girl comes and get me out of class. And I'm like, okay, I know I'm mean as the devil. I know I cuss every other word. And I know that I fight all the time. But this particular time, I didn't do nothing. So I'm like, what they coming to get me for? And so I go to the office, lead me right to the office. There's a person right here on the side of the door in my peripheral. I can't see them, but I know somebody's there. I go in, I see the person that I was talking to, the guidance counselor. And this person from social services was standing right here, and I don't know who this person is. So the lady introduced me, tells me, you, Janice, blah, 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 blah. Is anybody at your house? And I said, well, my mom is, but she works on a farm, and she's, with my aunt and my uncle. All of them are working in the field. Well, can you get in your house? I said, yeah, I can get in. This is your last day. We're going to need you to go to your locker and get your stuff out. I didn't get to say bye to anybody. We need for you to clean out your locker. And this your last day of school. You're going to foster care. We're going to tell you that the home that you're going to, they don't really want teenagers. I'm 15 years old. They really just want toddlers or infants. But they're going to give you a chance. If you mess up, you're going to go to an all-girls home.
Oh, wow. Wow, 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 wow.
The night before, my mom and I talk a little bit about the book, the anthology. We had a really bad fight the night before this. And so I had a black eye. And makeup. But over time, things got reported. And so that's what happened. As easy as that. Quickly as that. It was very fast. So the next time I seen my mom, she was in court.
Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So she went to court to fight for custody for you?
Yes, she had to defend herself, so to speak, and everything came out. A lot of stuff came out, and I just thank God that, and I left. I went. I was already staying with my foster parents. I stayed like 2 weeks, and then it was court. But that was it. That's how it went, and she did the best she could. And I always tell people that my mom was single. She did the best she could do. We reconciled years and years later. I got grown and everything. We reconciled, and God saved me. And I asked him to help me forgive. And I asked her to forgive me because I was rough. I was a girl, but I was rough like a man. I was really mean. Had a lot of hatred, a lot of bitterness because my dad wasn't there. So I had those scars. And I'm like, okay, my dad has 5 other children. Um, I'm just trying to figure it out. Like what was so um what was so wrong with me. But one thing about me, I always would encourage myself. I always would write. I would write my stories down. That was my escape. School was my escape. I loved school. I made good grades, even though I was really mean. I was smart and I was always on honor roll. So school was like my escape from the life I was living at home. So I had to do what I had to do. I didn't really have a childhood. I had to grow up quickly, grow up fast, defend for myself. I had to do what I had to do. And that goes into promiscuous with men and just different things that I had to do what I had to do. But I thank God for keeping me.
Yes.
I tell my husband and I talk all the time, and I thank God I didn't get a disease. I thank God that I didn't get pregnant. Things that I done, I just thank God that He kept me in the midst of it all. I didn't get killed. There were things that I done that, woo, honey, I did what I had to do as a young woman with really no authority figure because my mama worked all the time. And so I was buck wow.
Wow, wow. So that means then that you didn't have like a father figure there that you can lean on. There was no one there that you had. No.
No. My mama dated, she dated different guys.
Yeah.
But they wasn't good role models. Wasn't good role models at all. Um, but I thank God. God is so good. He's so faithful. And I would just encourage myself. And I would say, I'm going to get out of this. When I grow up, I always say, when I grow up, I'm going to have running water. When I grow up, I'm going to have lights. I'm going to have my own car. When I grow up, that was my thing. When I grow up, I'm not going to treat my daughter like this. When I grow up, so that I had to encourage myself in the midst of the darkness. I had to encourage myself that it wasn't always going to be that way. And so foster care was a way that God used. I didn't see it back then, but it was a way for Him to save my life. He saved my life. I went through some things there too, but He saved my life.
Wow. I find that so amazing because I love that you said that because many times when we're going through, like in your situation, how you shared, having to be in class and then you just got called to the class, nothing was wrong. It's like you thought everything was good. And just like that, in the instant, your life has completely transformed. Like immediately, and then you now have to begin to adapt to a new norm in such a short time, and of course in that moment you're thinking that it can't be a God because I'm already going through this with my mom at home. Now school is my escape, and then I get here, I know they're going to take me away from the one thing that I have some type of familiarity with. So I can only imagine what was going through your mind. But what I love about that testimony that you shared was that in the end, having to see that God had a hand in it, which is a good thing for us to remember because it's not going to look like what we want it to look like when God is moving. It looks like, hey, there's the enemy, but what the enemy meant for evil, God would always turn it around for good. Oh, yes. Yes. Absolutely. Definitely. So now you've done that, you went to foster care, you talked about that story, but tell us about your experience while you have worked in foster care. What were some of the things that you encountered there?
A lot of that was mental. My first day at my new school, I got into a fight. So, got into a fight, got suspended. A lot of it was mental. It's something when you live with complete strangers and you all are getting to know one another. And, I felt like I was walking on eggshells all the time. And so, not that they meant to do it, I don't think, but it was there. It just was there. They have someone new in their home. They don't know anything about me except for bad things. They see how I look. I look nice, but on the inside, demons was there. Okay. So I went from 0 to 1,000. My temper was just like that. And so it was a lot of mental. I'm like, okay, so they already done told me if they don't like me, I'm going to an orphanage. That's it. I don't have no other options here. So now I have to be who they want me to be. That's how I felt. But I had a problem with that because I've always been the type that what I am, this is who I am. You gonna like me for who I am or don't like me at all. I'm not gonna change for you. I may adjust a little bit, but I'm not gonna change for you. And so we had that struggle at first. We had that struggle at first. They ain't know really how to take me because my mouth was just, like I speak for Jesus now, but back in the day, my mouth was speaking for the devil, and you just weren't gonna treat me any kind of way, and I'm gonna say I had no filter at all. So I think it was a lot of mental. It was a lot of emotional. And I was just like, God, why am I here? There's really no need for me to be here. Let me just go ahead and try to kill myself because ain't nobody gonna miss me no way. That's how I felt.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. But I look at it now, and when I talk to these women and these young girls, and how I was,
yeah,
I tell them, God, He can make a way of escape for you. He is the answer. I'm not gonna force Him on you, but I'm just telling you what worked for me. If you ask me, I'm gonna tell you what worked for me. He worked for me. I had tried men, I had tried drugs, I done tried alcohol, I done tried clubbing, I done tried all of that. That didn't work. It was temporary. It was a temporary fix. So I went through a lot in foster care, a whole lot that I can't even really say over this, some things that it was a lot. But I survived.
Amen. Wow. Wow. So now we got out of foster care, and you said, but before I go there, you said something. You said that many times you felt like committing suicide. What helped you to not do it? What changed? What happened that caused you to say, I want to live? What got you to that place? What stopped you?
I think what I did actually tried it twice. I told my husband, I told him I was in the bathtub, and this is one way I tried to commit suicide was I tried to drown myself. And it's like, literally, I ain't know God from a can of paint. But it seemed like something pulled me out of the water. And it's like I heard someone speak to me, like, you are needed. You can't let this win. You can't let your situation win. You're too strong for it. You're too, people need you. And I'm like, don't nobody need me. I'm mouthy. I'm nice, but I'm like a Jackal in Mr. Hyde. And And I think that was winning. I think the alter ego was winning. So I guess that's hide, I guess. I thought that was winning. But it's like God, he let me know that I was needed. And that people was gonna need me.
Amen. Amen.
He let me know people was
That's
gonna need
powerful. That's so powerful. That's so powerful, to have, that tells you, that shows you how much God loves you, that even at that time, when you felt like, hey, I'm nothing because you don't even know or have a relationship with God, but God is saying you're my child. And despite what has happened, I'm always going to look out for you. So that is really something for us, especially those of you who are watching here tonight, to hold on to that. No matter where you are, no matter what you've done, no matter where you came from, God is always going to look out for you because you are his child and he will look out for you. So now we're moving past, being in foster care, you went through all that stuff. So now you got into, you met your husband, you guys now decided now you're going to go ahead and give your life to God. Tell us about some of these things that you encountered after you said yes to God.
Ooh, honey. Betrayal. Betrayal. Oh my Lord. Our name being ran in the ground. You all aren't gonna be married 6 months. In a year came, and so forth and so forth. But we were serious about God. And we had to let some things go, let some people go. And everybody didn't understand. And they're like, it don't take all that. You ain't got to do all that being saved. You still can go to the club and you still can do this and you still can do that. You can do that. But because God delivered us from that lifestyle, we chose not to go there anymore. And so we got talked about, we got ridiculed, we got cussed out. My mama died 2 weeks before we got married when she was 41 years old. And this was one of my biggest tests as I'm saved now. And so this was like really one of my biggest tests. And so God will test you, so to speak. And the devil will too. And we got married, I said, May 23rd, May 9th, 2003. My mama died May 23rd, 2003. And my mama won't in the ground a whole month yet. And we had a family member come to our house. Make a long story short, this family member cussed us out. I mean, cussed us out like a dog. My husband, he was sleeping. He had woke up because she was cussing so loud. And our neighbor, thank God he allowed our neighbors, because we all knew each other where we lived at. And one of our neighbors came out and asked, was everything okay? So even in the midst of everything, and then my husband came to the door, and thank God for them demons that had to go. But that was one of my biggest things that I had to go through when I had freshly got saved and married. And some other things, but it's a lot when you are giving your life to Jesus. People will turn their back on you. The same ones that you thought was going to be happy for you, they're not going to be happy for you. It's going to be complete strangers a lot of times that will come in. They will come in and pick up the pieces. They will come in and encourage you. Complete sinners. God protected us, because when we got married, we moved 4 months later and we got a house. And so we went from the apartment to a house, and God protected us in the midst of where we was living at. The environment wasn't that good, but God protected us. Complete sinners protected us. They said, if anybody mess with y'all house, we're going to leave them at the door. And my husband said, no, don't kill nobody. And they said, well, we're just letting you know that we know y'all are Christians. So we're going to protect y'all house. So God, with his good self, he'll be right there for you when people turn their back on you. When they say, y'all ain't even Christians, I don't know what y'all doing. People, they got so much to say, but they don't want to live for God. But they can tell you how they think you should live for God.
That's right. That's right.
And so you got to keep your mind focused on the Lord and what he told you to do and who he told you you're going to be, so you can help encourage somebody else. Because it's not about what people say about you. It's about what God say.
That's it.
That's
That's
what
it
kept,
right there.
that's what kept us, and that still keeps us now.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. It's never going to be easy, but it's always going to be worth it. It's always going to be worth it. So now we are journeying on through this thing. Now you are building now. You're your husband, you guys are building together. Who was your support team? Because you said that, your mom, it was just you and your mom. Your dad was not there. And at that stage now you're a bit older, and you mentioned your mom would have passed just before the marriage. And who did you have then to help support you through it all? Did you have any close friends or any relatives, or even from your husband's side? Who did you have to lean on, except for God, of course?
You talking about when I was younger or older?
Older. Right now you guys are married now, and you are pursuing God. You're going into that path of building the ministry. Who did you have there?
There were like the first church we went there for 13 years. And so we served just about in every capacity that we could serve in. But we did have a pastor that we was close to. We was close to him and his wife, and we was on the leadership team. And so we all would get together, we would pray. We had different people when we got older that we would start meeting. God would bring new people in our lives, not necessarily from our church all the time, but there were other people that we would meet. I remember one man, my husband had went to a basketball game, and I think he was a deacon back then. And he had met this guy. He had told me he had met this guy playing basketball, and they were older men. And he was telling me how energetic those older men was, and they was just playing ball. And at that time, he was younger. We were younger. We're still young, but we were younger. And we're still friends with him and his wife today. And matter of fact, he just became a bishop last year, and my husband and I was asked to help be there for his installment, to help him with some other leaders. And we were grateful to celebrate them. And that's been, oh Lord, probably we met them, I think maybe 2003 or 4, somewhere around in there. But there were different people through the years that would encourage us as husband and wife. A lot of times it was not within where we was at, but it was outside people. And even now they'll say, well, I always know y'all was going to be on TV, or we always knew y'all was going to be authors, or, we always knew y'all was going to be speaking around the world. They can see things that we couldn't see, And then as time went on, we did have family members to encourage us. My father-in-law, because our fathers are still living. So, God blessed me to have a relationship with my father, and allowed forgiveness to take place. And so, matter of fact, when Mike and I, we renewed our vows in 2019, we just renewed again last month. But when we renewed in 2019, my dad walked me down the aisle.
Oh, wow.
It was breaking a generational curse.
Yes.
So I tell people, forgiveness is real. And if you're going to forgive people, do it for real. Because when we need God to forgive us, we need him to forgive us for real.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful to you for be able to have your dad. It's just amazing. And I have to agree, many times we think that forgiveness is for the other person, but it's not, it's for us.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense us thinking that we're punishing them by not releasing them. We're punishing ourselves. So if you are in that space right now, we won't be encouraged by Pastor Janice's testimony today as she shares her powerful story with you. You want to forgive and release and let go. It is just not worth it. definitely not worth it. So we are coming pretty close to an end, but before I go, I really have to ask, as you walk through so many different, things and face so many different obstacles in your life, at any time did you, because I know you mentioned, you attempted suicide and everything, but at any time did you say to yourself before before you gave your life to God, did you thought to yourself that, hey, maybe God just doesn't love me or he doesn't care for me? Did I ever pass your mind?
All the time. Um,
Wow.
all the time. I'm like, we moved around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There were places that we lived that didn't have running water, didn't have lights. Um, there were times where I was cold, didn't have a lot of cover. No, not comforters and, not the nice things that we have now. Um, yes, yes. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing all my, I'm wearing the same clothes over and over, I got holes in my stuff. But one thing I did do, I didn't have a lot of clothes and a lot of stuff, but what I did have, I took care of it. I would wash my clothes on my hand because we didn't have no wash and dry. I would wash clothes in this, we call it a foot tub, but one of them silver basins. We had those type of things back in the day before we got modernized. Um, but yes, all the time. Because I'm like, I see all these other kids, I see them with their mom and their dad, a complete family. They may not be married, but I still see them. Um, I'm seeing other kids with nice things, they have nice things. Why I can't have that? So yes, I did, I'm eating beans and rice. And they eating steak over there all the time. Uh, yeah, I still was eating. I still had clothes, even though I ain't have nothing new all the time. I still had them though. But it just didn't seem like I was supposed to be going through all of that at such a young age. I just didn't understand it. I questioned him all the time. And I didn't understand. But I remember we did have a neighbor at one of the places we stayed at. She's dead now. But I remember her growing up. And God used this lady to feed me sometimes. I would go down there when I got out of school, did my homework, and I would go down there. And we lived down a path. And there were 3 trailers. We lived in the second one, and they lived in the third one, her and her boyfriend and her 2 grandchildren. And God would use her. We didn't stay at this place long, but God would use her for her to come down and say, hey, you want to eat with us? Because I was home by myself a lot of times. My mom was still working. And she would come up there to get me to go down there and eat with them. But I look at that now, and I would walk down the path with her. But I look at that now as God using her to provide. He's a provider. He doesn't ever tell you how he's going to provide. He's just Jehovah Jireh. So he'll use, like he did with Elijah, he'll use something dirty or something dirty like he did that raven at a dry place like that brook. And he'll use that dry place to sustain you. And sometimes I found out in my life and as our life as a whole family that it's been complete strangers. Some of the most complete strangers have been the closest friends of ours. Look, me and you met on a women's conference.
That's right. That's
But
right.
I feel like we've been knowing each other our whole life.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And there's just some people that's like that. There
Yeah.
are those divine connections.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They are, but when they do show up, you make sure that you stay right there. Because the enemy will come in and he'll try to put some distrust. Because that's what he do. He's the father of lies. And he'll put an illusion like, is that real? Yes, it's real. So I'm honored on tonight, woman of God, that you had at all. Very humble. Because God brought me from the ground. I always say past the dirt. And so I'm humble every time I get to do anything for God. Whether it's locally, globally, internationally, whatever it is, I'm humble.
Yes, yes. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, there we are definitely close to wrapping up, but it just keeps getting better. You know, I just loved and enjoyed listening to your story because there's so many different gems in there about how good our God is. You know, how great our God is, the goodness of God that was upon your life, and how God was all a part of it, even though it did not look like that, you know, as you went through the process. So I have to ask, can you tell us what are some of the major lessons that you would have learned through those stories that you would have shared with us thus far? What are some of those major lessons?
One lesson I learned is push yourself, encourage yourself when you don't have that entourage around you. It's just you and God. If you don't know God, I encourage you to get to know him. Get to know him for yourself. That's a lesson that I had to learn. I had to get to know him for myself because I've seen a lot of people that claim to be Christians, but they lived another lifestyle. But I had to get to know him for myself. That's how I ended up in a repentant state. When I met my husband, I was in a repent. I said, if you heard me earlier, I said I rededicated my life to the Lord. Because I had got saved for about a month in 1998, and went back out into the world because I was looking at other people. So a lesson, get to know God for yourself. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. You focus on what you need and what you need. You know what you need. Another thing I would say I learned was always know that your situation that you're in is not the end. Know that it's not the end. That's what I learned. I always had my looks, and I always thought I was beautiful. And in the midst of everything that I was going through, I look in the mirror, but I know I'm beautiful though. So I'm like, okay, this don't add up. I'm going through hell, but I'm looking beautiful though, you know. Um, so I realized that I want my life to look like how I look on the outside. And I know people say, well, God don't look at the outside. Absolutely not. It reflects the outside. And so I wanted my inside to look like my outside. I wanted my inside to be beautiful. And only God can do that. So that's what I learned. And one more thing I learned, that if you are married or you may want to get married, I wasn't marriage material. I wasn't marriage material. And what I mean by that is my emotions, my mental state wasn't marriage material. But I had to allow God to come in and to heal me from all the hurt that I had experienced from men. So I want you to allow him to heal you. If this is something you desire, and who in the world would have thought that I'd be working with people that are married? He want to use my husband and I to work with people that are married or aspiring to be married. I know that's God. When our marriage won't even supposed to work according to the devil. We won't even supposed to be together. That's a whole nother story. But I want to encourage you to work on yourself and allow God to come in and heal that broken heart. And you work on yourself so he can find you in it. So he can find you. And if a man is looking at this or may look at this, you work on yourself too. Just because she wasn't the one or they wasn't the one, You work on yourself so you can find your right rhythm. Because the enemy comes and he can look like anything. He can make himself look beautiful, but it doesn't mean that that's God. But you can do it. You can hold out until that right one comes, and ladies, you can hold off until your right one comes to the final.
Absolutely. That is beautiful. Wow. Wow. So I'm glad that you touched a little bit on that, because my next question is, tell us about your ministries, about all the great work you're doing, with your husband, with your marriage groups, and also with your actual ministry with brokenness and so many other things that you're doing. Tell us a little bit more about them. And if someone is watching right now and they want to know, how do I get that book? Because I just love the title, Bulletproof, with, what was it called? Bulletproof with a heavy ammunition. Yes. Tell us how we can get our hands on a copy.
Okay, well, you could get Bulletproof with steady heavy ammunition. Okay, so Amazon has it. You just type it in. Bulletproof. But if you go to our personal website, it is cheaper. On our website, it is $12. Okay, plus $5 shipping. So it's M like Michael, 2J, the number 2J, workingtogether.com. And just go to shop. It's so easy. You click shop and you can order it in less than maybe 15 seconds. And we will ship it to you. We will get the order on our store. That's our store. But we will get the order probably in maybe 10 seconds. It'll show up on our phone, and I will mail them to you. Okay. That's the easiest way. Or you could go on Amazon if you'd like. It is on Amazon. It's a best-selling book. It has won bestseller in 3 categories. Also, if you want this one, this is an anthology that I did. I did the 4th chapter in this, but it's called Down for the Count, Bouncing Back from Life Lows, Volume 5. It is on our website as well. This book is $12.99 plus $5 shipping. But this is the one that my husband and I, oh my gosh, this is like our first book together. So we're very excited about what God is doing. It's not only for married people, but it's for all people. We share before we got married, and we share a little bit after. So there will be more books to come, but this is just our first one. And we was very specific about what we put in, down to every word. So God has blessed us, and we've heard multiple testimonies of people reading the book and getting back with us and telling us how it has changed their lives. And the other book is about my foster care experience. Some things I didn't have a chance to talk about tonight. But a little bit just about the Make It Last. We are being booked. People book us to come in to do workshops, seminars. We come to you live. We'll do virtual. We do counseling. We do workshops. We do conferences. We preach. We teach. We are available to you. Whatever you need us to do, that's what we do. We do classes. So we are available to you. You just let us know what you need, and we'll make ourselves available. Same thing with the women. The women, conferences, workshops, seminars, virtual, live. I speak. I go to shelters. Very active in the community. But that is what we do. I mentor. I will do sessions with you. But what God, I don't like to put him in a box. And so even though we have different things going on, we still have to make sure that we're open-minded. And that's why we don't do anything every single day, because we want to make sure that we're open to whatever God wants us to do. Sometimes you can overload your calendar where you're not available when God wants to use you somewhere else. So, but we're quite busy, but at the same time, we're still open, and we still will make ourselves available. So we're on Facebook, makeitLastmarriage.com. Make It Last Marriage Fellowship, No More Brokenness Women's Fellowship. Those are our ministry pages. And we also have our website, which is m2jworkingtogether.com. If you would like to inbox us, you can inbox Janice Williams. We share a page, my husband and I do. That's what we do. We share a page. But you can reach out to us on there. You can message us on Messenger as well. And we're also on Instagram. So.
And you are on Instagram as Janice Williams too?
Uh-huh.
Okay, great. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we're on Instagram too.
Yeah,
Don't
beautiful.
get too much Instagram, but we're on there.
Yeah.
But I need that information.
Yeah.
I need that information, but we're gonna have some other things coming up too. With some other TV stuff and but yeah.
So tell us what to expect from you and what's happening, what's new, because I'm sure right now they're thinking to themselves, I want to find out more about Pastor Janice. So tell us what to expect, what's coming up, what's new for you.
Well, I ain't even say we're family pastors of another church, but we have multiple ministry partners. But what's coming up? We got Valentine's coming up. We got something scheduled next week with another couple. We usually have this big Valentine's Day event, but because we have something else scheduled with another ministry, we're gonna do something with another couple next week. We got a marriage retreat scheduled for the first weekend in August. We got a lot of stuff coming up. It's a lot. We got some appointments that we are scheduled to speak at. My husband is doing some workshops this year, men workshops live at a location our way. But we can do workshops virtual too. So you just get in touch with us. If you want to email us, it's makeitLastmarriage@gmail.com. That's for the marriage. And my email for the women is iamwhole1@gmail.com. So, and if you want to call, the ministry number is 919-975-1565.
Amazing.
TV show coming up. A lot of different things coming up. We're just excited.
Yes. And I'm excited for you because that's a lot of amazing things coming up. So congratulations to you and your husband on doing such a fantastic job. That's phenomenal. I love it. I absolutely love to see, couples, especially who are in marriage together, not just a marriage, but the union. And you can see you guys moving together for God. I think that's just so amazing. I'll get really excited about that because that's something that I look forward to have, So I'm very excited for you both. So I just really want to say, just before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience tonight? Maybe it might have been a question I didn't get an opportunity to answer you, but you feel it so heavy on your heart and you want to share with them. I want you to go right ahead and share them your last few words.
Well, one thing I would like to say, be encouraged. I want you to be encouraged because I know this is global and it's international, and there's so many different things that people are going through in their household, and every family looks different. But what I want you to know is that no matter what you're going through, don't suffer in silence. There's always someone there. You can call us. You can email us. You call us, I'll give you my cell phone even. There's always somebody that God will use to help you through. Don't suffer in silence. And there's use for you. He has a great plan for your life that'll give you great success. And I'm not talking about just in material things. I'm talking about success of not going to the mental institution. I'm talking about success in just being stable in the mind, because there's somebody that needs you. Somebody needs to hear your story. Somebody needs to know that what they're going through is not the end. You have to tell it. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of your story. Allow your story to impact you, to catapult you to greatness, because you are great in the Lord. You're not greater than him, but he has made you great to do great things for him. And that's what I want you to remember. And if you haven't gave your life to the Lord, I want you to do that. I want you to do it. Just say, hey. And if you're saved, then you be like, I still drink, smoke. I am a witness. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. He can use you no matter what you're doing, no matter where you're at right now. You could be at a hotel room right now, selling your body, looking at this, and God can save you right there. He is that kind of God. No matter where you're at, he can do it. You just allow him to, and go on to greatness.
Well said. Oh my goodness. I told you guys it was going to be a powerful session here tonight. I told you to expect nothing but greatness. I am super excited, for what is to come for both you and your husband. I am so happy that you said yes. We're so grateful to have you here with us. Thank you so much for sharing your story, you are most welcome, for being so obedient and transparent with us. I am sure that some woman who is watching right now, she has been blessed, she has been encouraged, and she knows that she is not in this alone. Absolutely not. So thank you so much. So guys, yes, this brings us to the end of our show for tonight. We are in season 6. I can't believe it. I'm super excited to have you here tonight. I'm sure that you've been blessed, you've been touched with something, but I want you, before you leave here, if you have not done it already, go right ahead and click that link below. Share this link with someone else. Don't assume that they may not be interested, because you may never know what they're going through and what they need to hear. And this might just be the thing that can pull them out from where they're at. So I want you to go ahead, share the link with them, drop a comment below. We're watching your comments. We want to hear what you think. We want to hear Pastor Janice and I can't wait to hear from you. So make sure you're commenting below, and make sure, of course, that you are subscribed so you can be kept abreast. So we'll see you on our next episode as we continue this season 6 on Battered Bruised, Not Broken. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.